This is an RTX 4060 graphics card from Gigabyte, and it's a 3-fan model that I was able to get off Facebook Marketplace for just 320 Canadian dollars. I'll tell you guys how I was able to get this deal after this intro. This video is sponsored by me, so if you enjoy the content and you're looking for a gaming computer and you live locally to me, then click on the description below and check out the computers I have for sale. Now let's get into the content. Hey, what is going on everybody? Welcome back to the most underrated tech channel, and in today's video, I'll be testing out this RTX 4060 8GB graphics card in 6 different games and in 3D Mark Time Spy. As for how I was able to grab it at such a good price and not the eye-drenching 450-ish Canadian dollars from retailers, it's because I was able to trade an RX 6700 XT with a person on Facebook Marketplace that had an RTX 4060 that was only 2 weeks old from Canada Computers. And since I got the RX 6700 XT while I was in China for just 320 Canadian dollars, which if you're curious is around 1,665 Chinese yuan, so that's how I was able to get an RTX 4060 for that cheap. Now before you comment down below on how it was a horrible trade for me, let me just be honest with you, because Nvidia cards just sell way better in PC builds. And there's really no point in fighting that trend because no one's gonna listen to you, so at the end of the day, if you can't fight them, join them. Anyways, let's talk about today's test bench. This time around, I'll be using this all-white gaming PC, which includes a Ryzen 5 5500 6 cores 12-threaded CPU, which is cooled by a Johnsbo CR1400 Evo cooler, a kit of 32GB rated at 3600 MHz of DDR4 memory, along with a 1TB Gen 3 NVMe drive, which are all slotted on this Maxsun B450M motherboard and are all powered by this ASA 550W non-modular 80+ bronze power supply, which also got a custom white and cyan cable extension plugged in, which are all planted inside this DIY PC Q1 white PC case. Also, this build, by the time you see this video, would have been sold for 1,000 Canadian dollars with an RTX 3060 Ti white graphics card from Zotac. Before we get into the benchmarks, as you can see up on screen, I am using the latest driver revision at the time of recording, which is 546.01. And sadly, at the time of recording this and the next GPU test video, Fortnite OG update was not up yet. Which is a good thing because Fortnite OG actually gave you more performance because the old map has barely anything on it. Oh yeah, also I totally forgot to record the 1% lows for today's benchmark, but I was able to record it for the next GPU benchmark video. First up, I tested in 3D Mark Time Spy, and this system with the 4060 was able to achieve a score of 1,013 points. It might look pretty high, but keep in mind that the Time Spy with this system with the 3060 Ti was 1,151 points. With that result, it's already a really disappointing graphics card for me, but maybe it will do better in actual games. The very first game I tested was in COD Warzone. At the extreme preset, I was able to achieve an average of 96 FPS with this system, which is a really big W for the RTX 4060 right now because this system with the 3060 Ti was only able to achieve an average of 91 FPS. Next up, I tested another popular battle royale game, which is in Apex Legends. At the very high settings, I got an average of 164 FPS, which comparing that to the 3060 Ti, it was able to get an average of 182 FPS. And yeah, that is pretty disappointing for the RTX 4060, especially when it's 450 CAD after taxes versus where you could just buy a 3060 Ti for around 300 to 350 on the used market. Mind you that most of them would probably still have some warranty left on it, and if they're Asus, MSI, or Gigabyte, you could RMA them without any receipt, just as long as the card is unopened. Up next, I tested in a lighter title, which was in CS2. At the very high preset, the RTX 4060 was able to produce an average of 158 FPS. Comparing that to the RTX 3060 Ti, it was able to get an average of 181 FPS. And once again, the RTX 4060 takes the L. Up next, I tested in a built-in benchmark of GTA 5 at the Ultra settings, FXAA only, no MSAA. I was able to get an average of 140 FPS with the RTX 4060, while the 3060 Ti was able to get an average of 137 FPS. I would say these two cards are tied in this game, which is a plus for the 4060, I guess. Now to test some games in the Epic Game Store. I tested in Cyberpunk 2077 at the Ultra preset. The 4060 was able to produce an average of 88 FPS, which is exactly the same amount of FPS the RTX 3060 Ti produced at the same settings. This amazing result only adds to the disappointment I already have. And finally, for the last game I tested was in Fortnite Battle Royale. At the Pro settings with DX12, the RTX 4060 was able to get an average of 217 FPS, while the RTX 3060 Ti got an average of 209 FPS. So I guess if you want to play Fortnite competitively, the RTX 4060 is the better card, definitely, for 450 Canadian dollars. And that was my review of the RTX 4060 from Nvidia. At 450 Canadian dollars, I would say it's a horrible value unless you're upgrading from a 2000 series graphics card or older. That is, of course, if you wanted to buy a brand new Nvidia graphics card. But if you have no preference, just buy AMD 6000 and 7000 is way more worth, or Intel Arc GPUs is way more worth, or buy a used RTX 3000 series graphics card. And as you can hear from my voice, reviewing this video has sucked out all the enjoyment for PC gaming out of me. But click on the video that's on the screen right now if you want to see a reasonably priced graphics card in 2023.